Hello guys, it's me, Stark, and today I'm here to make a very different video. I'm here to talk about the best Bohemian player of the game. I think that MBL is actually providing some great games with the Bohemian, and there are several reasons that I would like to share with you and also showcase a few of these games. To start with, Bohemians are not exactly an Arabian civilization. In maps like Arena, Bypass, other closed maps that you can see on tournaments, players will often try to prioritize drafting the Bohemians. Their strengths have great synergy with this kind of play. But when we think about Arabia, well, Bohemians are a bit troublesome to play with. They do not have bloodlines, so playing with both Knightline and Cavarcher line becomes a bit challenging on the later stages of the game. You ended up having to use some very slow army compositions with the hillside wagons and monks, so your best weapons are very slow and your bonuses are not benefited here from neither wood or food bonus, which means that we're only gonna start getting some benefits on the later stages of the game. First game here guys, MBL versus Lucio. Lucio is playing as the Huns and he did open with a Drush. What did MBL do? Well, he already set up some small trap there and managed to get all these scout and militias trapped within this small area, later adding extra villagers to repair. Knowing that Lucio could eventually reinforce his Drush, MBL just makes sure that he would keep repairing these houses and also lots of attention to the detail, being able to repair the house to make sure that Lucio would stay trapped. With the use of the repair views plus a few archers and views, he did manage to counter this 4 militia rush. So the 2+2 opening countered by 1 archer in a lot of creative walls. With that said, game slowly became a regular one, and MBL did spot that Lucio was going for double range. So one of the things that in my opinion allows MBL to be one of the best Bohemian players is that he actually adapts to what the game asks him to. So on this scenario guys, as you can see, he was actually going for a second range as well, trying to match whatever Lucio was doing. So Lucio went here with double range archer skirmisher, and MBL just did the same thing. Double range, archer, and skirmisher. Very well played by Lucio. Did manage here to snipe several villagers here from MBL, who was not so concerned about that and just kept developing, slowly walling, and also trying to counterattack with his own ranged units. On this full ranged unit war, I think that there is nothing wrong for the Bohemian. He's also taking some small benefit from the gold. The problem here, guys, is that once in the Castle Age, or even on the later stages of Feudal Age, the Hun will have several better weapons. Let's start with the scouts. Hun scouts will actually have access to bloodlines, making them very hard to kill on later stages of the Feudal Age. So for the Bohemian, it doesn't make so much sense to transition into a full Feudal Age war against the Huns, knowing that MBL is already setting up some walls while also trying to raid and get at least some small kills with his ranged units before he eventually goes towards the next age. Regarding the walls, some massive walls. MBL is not known for being a great architect, but rather a more adaptive player. He does adapt to whatever situation with the ugliest walls you can see or you can spot in the game. But the thing is, they work, they are effective, and for that reason he's always a big menace to the ladder, actually denying many players to go above the 2.K7 rate mark, because in order to get to that mark you have to pass through MBL, and he's probably not gonna allow you to do so. Game is switching now to the Castle Age, and there comes MBL. Double range, crossbowman upgrade, so far a very regular ranged unit game, but the thing here comes that he knows that as Bohemian there are some weapons that you want to use, and MBL knows exactly that. Instead of going already for mangonels or even trying to oppress his opponent here with his Castle Age ranged units, he's instead adding a town center on the stone that will allow him to later to already start collecting some stone with the second stone upgrade, and also going for a monastery. The reason for the monastery is quite simple. Within the monastery he can actually increase the speed of the villagers by upgrading fervor. Fervor and sanctity for the Bohemian civilization does affect villagers, so he has a lot of attention to the detail, and he does make that. After going for fervor and setting up a lot of villagers on the stone, which means that eventually MBL could drop a castle, he then starts to transition into the natural counters of whatever his opponent is doing. He starts going for the mangonels, and he starts to make sure that his villagers are actually going to be in safe spots. Good mangonel defense, collecting a few relics, developing his eco, even going for extra town centers, some very unusual gameplay. Take a look on this castle placement. He's just about to drop a castle there in order to protect all this right area and later going for a town center. So yeah, a very weird castle drop. He's under pressure on the front, but instead of dropping, for example, a defensive castle on the gold, he's just about securing other areas of the map, and he'll just try to figure out some way to protect his area by himself. Going now for the handcart. Handcart will increase not only the capacity but also the speed of the villagers, and these guys will prove to be quite important on the later stages of the game. Let's take a look on what Lucio is doing. Lucio is pressuring MBL here with a lot of mangonels and elite skirmisher, and on the back of it he's actually adding knights. He's upgraded his knights to +2 and he's adding a lot of them. Thanks to these mangonels, it seems that he'll be able to keep MBL's base open, and then he can use his knights to snipe enemy mangonels, enemy ranged units, and raid whatever he needs to. So basically he's setting up a good game. But look what MBL does instead. He goes for the Sanctity. Sanctity will upgrade 15 hit points from the monks, but it will also increase the HP of villagers. So villagers are now being affected by Fervor, Sanctity, Wheelbarrow and Handcart, meaning that they have a way fast walking speed, 1.11. Let's take a comparison here with Elite Skirmisher that has -1. They do have like 0.96 speed, while MBL Villagers does have a lot more. Lucio Skirmishers did spot MBL. Is that a problem? Let's figure out. MBL does start to make a castle, and as you can see guys, this castle can range the enemy town center. Lucio immediately reacts by sending some knights and also some villagers to try and stop the builders from MBL. He also starts making a defensive tower, but MBL did bring a small army, leaving his base completely defenseless here. There's only a single mangonel doing stuff here on his own base, and honestly, since his opponent's focus there is on trying to stop his castle, that mangonel did quite some mess over there. And now the castle is up, meaning that Lucio has a big problem to deal with. Despite having +2 knights, there's a castle on his face, which will be able to kill his town center, deny his development towards this side where there are multiple golds, and also he cannot get some good fights against the units if he's always under the castle, meaning that he will actually gonna lose several units in the process and forcing him to resign. So some very unorthodox game that ends up paying off with the synergy of the bonuses for an aggressive castle drop. Let's try to spot another Bohemian game. I'm pretty sure I have some of them there from MBL. Uh-oh, maybe I did some shit there. There we go, another one. MBL versus the Viper. On this one, we can see Bohemian versus Teutons. Once again, this could actually be a great game if it was in Arabia. Good show! Good show is probably good luck, huh? I expect so. Two villagers on the wood, meal on the chicken, regular Dark Age, a lot of scouting, luring deer. So far guys, just a regular gameplay here for MBL. On the way to the next age, investing into a second lumber camp, starting to make some buildings such as a house and a palisade and a stable. So yes, he's just about to go for a regular scout play. Regular scout play for MBL. Remember that the Bohemian Spearmen actually deliver extra damage versus stable units, making them pretty good. Walling with palisades and making sure that the food and the lack of bonuses is not gonna hit his civilization. Quite a okay map to defend. In case a lot of aggressiveness takes place here, MBL can basically defend himself with some towers on the gold perhaps. Going out for a range, enough villagers on the food, blacksmith, and everything is going very good for him. Viper even added here an aggressive tower that can be very annoying to deal with, especially on Castle Age, but MBL is just developing. Try to make a small mess here with his few ranged units. Nothing special so far guys, just a small archer play. With that said, There comes MBL for some very unorthodox play once again. He does understand that the Bohemian needs to do something different if they want to somehow get some leverage. And look at what he's doing. Monastery and University. With the Monastery, you guys already know what to expect, right? Fervor. A lot of focus on the economical upgrades, and of course, with the access to the university, he can later switch for upgrades such as ballistics, in case he needs to upgrade his ranged units, chemistry, in case he wants to enable himself to go for hand cannoneers, or even guard tower if he wants to invest into some defense. So far, this is what he's doing, and a defensive tower here on the back to deny the advances from Viper siege units. Sensity, which will increase both monk and villagers' HP. Chemistry, which will allow him to play with hand cannoneers, so he's basically playing the Civ. He's not afraid, guys, of going for some very mechanical or regular game. Instead, he actually goes for the biggest strength of the civilization, going for the specific upgrades, staying longer here with 1 to C sometimes just in order to go for the hand cannoneer. Already going for anti-monk upgrades, and now let's take a look on how he plays using the hand cannoneers. Fighting against enemy monks. Very good fights. As soon as he has a bigger number, he can actually start sniping mangoes, which seems to be what he's doing. Viper does answer with the guard tower upgrade, which means that it will be very difficult to take this down during the castle age, but MBL does not feel so astonished by that. Instead, he goes now for some heavy booming with the addition of simultaneous 3 extra town centers. So we're about to see a guy playing with a lot of hand cannoneers and 4 town centers. With the use of 4 town centers, MBL can develop his economy if Viper allows him to. Doesn't seem to be the case, huh? Aggressive forward castle, denying this town center, denying the golds. Very good gameplay here by Viper, forcing MBL into some very uncomfortable scenario. Since there are castles and guard towers here surrounding his base, it's very unlikely that MBL will manage to take those guys down during the castle age. I think that on this specific scenario, many players would just try to somehow rush the Imperial Age, sometimes even idling TCs or things like that. Instead, what MBL does here is to keep adding hand cannoneers to his composition, massing them, reaching here a critical number, a critical mass that is hard for his opponent to deal with. Very unusual gameplay. And there he goes, defending, slowly using here the hand cannoneers. Very different from the previous game, guys. And now the resources are slowly reaching the point of clicking towards Imperial Age. And the reason is he did a lot of focus here on the economical upgrades, lacking only hand card. And of course, with Fervor, his villagers actually have a lot of more work rate, especially the farmer ones. Hand cannoneers, multiple castles, defending, taking control of the extra resources, counter-attacking with the hand cannoneers, and let's see how much damage he can actually do to the Teuton player. Another castle from Viper. Damn, great castle, huh? This castle will make sure that this town center is no more. MBL has started to make a few Hillside wagons. And the knights are actually struggling a lot to deliver any kind of significant damage to his army comp. Some great play here to wall off the way of his opponent with multiple blacksmiths. Why does it make sense to go for like multiple blacksmiths like this? Well, because as Bohemian, both your blacksmith and university does cost minus 100 wood. So going for multiple blacksmiths like this to block the opponent's advancing just cost 200 wood. Even if he completed. I don't know if it was necessary to complete, but anyway, he's also using these unorthodox plays there. So basically, this guy can take everything that a civilization has to offer and use it in his favor during his gameplays. Right now, he does have a few Hillside wagons raiding, hand cannoneers walking by and delivering the damage. Both trebuchets and bomber cannons being massed here for him to push the Teuton before he can reach Imperial Age. Remember guys, once in Imperial Age, Teuton can have access to block printing monks, bombard cannons himself, 13 range castles, so actually going for this early siege makes a lot of sense in MBL's point of view. And Viper's there, trying to surround his hand cannoneers, eventually surrounding it. MBL is now producing more and more barracks, preparing a transition here to halberdiers, recovering his map as quickly as possible. Many games ended up losing the map and losing the game afterwards. Well, doesn't seem to be the case. He's actually doing a pretty decent job there, making sure that he will still hold his presence. Guys, these are only 2 games, but I have seen several other games, and honestly, I think that MBL's win rate with the Bohemians must be something very different from the usual players. He does know how to take the best out of the civilization and plays in creative ways. Right now, Viper's in a lot of trouble. There are soon to be halberdiers, hand cannoneers, and also a lot of superior siege units. So what can the Teuton do against that? It seems that Viper's approach is trying to go for the raw power of the paladins. The problem is, I don't know how well will Teuton paladins work against a massive amount of hand cannoneers in a choke point, together with some siege and of course halbs from the Bohemian. Remember the multiple blacksmiths from MBL? Well, it seems that he has found some use for them and is now making several upgrades in parallel, making sure that his halberdiers will actually receive extra upgrades before the big fight. There comes Viper, stacking patrol versus the halberdier stacked patrol, bombard cannons and hand cannoneers punishing the paladins. Paladins trying to get the hill, but it feels like fighting against the Bohemian halbs is not an easy task. And meanwhile, of course, multiple parallel upgrades taking place. So yes guys, MBL is pretty good with the Bohemians, and there are even more games. I truly recommend you guys to download some of his games or even watching his stream. I don't know which is which way you guys use the most here to watch games. Anyway, just check out these games because they are pretty good. Well, there is another one. This time he's fighting against Lucho. It's worth mentioning, guys, that every game that we are watching here is against a 2k6, 2k7, 2k8 player. I haven't shown you guys a game from MBL playing against a lesser opponent. It's always against great opponents. This time he's playing Bohemians versus Lucho, who's playing the Wu. Well, what to expect from the Wu? I think that one thing that you can already expect is that the Wu player will try to play heavy onto the feudal age units, especially men-at-arms into skirmisher. Knowing that, MBL is now going for the gold mining opening, which is the best one to go for archers. He's already making the buildings in a shape to defend his wood line and his gold, adding a few extra walls, early archer range in the most unexpected position ever, and there comes his opponent attacking here using the Wu's advantages. A blacksmith early on and fletching archers, but the problem is enemy has already added several skirmishers, and that ended up forcing MBL to add a defensive tower. With the defensive tower placed on the mill, Lucho finds an opportunity to pressure the top side of MBL's base with his army. His army is actually delivering quite some damage to the buildings. I wonder if Lucho did upgrade arson. He did not, guys. Yeah, regular men-at-arms are insane. And now, because of this amount of skirmishers, MBL found himself forced to play with scouts. I know, it's not the best thing you can do as Bohemian, but sometimes it's better to do scouts than resigning, right? Feels like he thinks like this. Multiple scouts and archers, he jumps on the enemy army, managed to do a good cleanup, and now the path is free to go towards the next age. Before setting his foot here on the Castle Age upgrade, look what MBL is doing. Multiple villagers on gold, market investment, and stone investment, which means that he will be able to trade resources here to accelerate his uptime. With this extra stone, if he wants to, he can even place up a few defensive towers there to make his defense a bit better. Let's see if that's what he's gonna do. So far, just a few walls, houses, blocking the enemy access to his units, and oh, beautiful, there he goes, guys. This game he's playing a more defensive way. Crossbowman, Siege Workshop so that he can use mangonels, and now an university. Well, we all know that the university can be quite good for the Bohemians. For example, MBL is going for the ballistics. Once again, he's going for this early fervor. So if there's one thing that we can all learn from him is, if you want to get the best benefits of the civilization, go for the early fervor, which will basically boost your villagers there and be a bit more helpful for you to collect relics. And now, guys, chemistry. With the power of chemistry, not only he can allow himself to take hand axe to make hand cannoneers if he wants to, but he can also make stronger archer gameplay. Slowly developing, slowly collecting the relics, going out for the sanctity, and as you can see, guys, once again the same big play. Revi on the stone, fervor and sanctity, and now as soon as he has a small window of opportunity, he can actually try to take down the enemy by dropping a forward castle. Enemy try to use some giant swordsman, but different from any other civilization, the Bohemian crossbowmen actually deal 1 extra damage, which means like 100% damage, extra damage than any other regular civ with their crossbowmen because of chemistry. Now you do see 3 DCs from MBL. He does have a lot of upgrades. He just feels like he's expecting for an opportunity to jump on the Wu player. And guys, knowing that this giant swordsman threat can actually be a bit more difficult to deal with on the later stages, he's already transitioning here into the hand cannoneers. Monks, hand cannoneers, not so well microed, but still hand cannoneers, making it difficult for the Wu player to actually get some good fight. Lucha is actually good, putting up some good fight, huh? His giant swordsmen are not being so effective to clean up all this army because of chemistry and a few hand cannoneers, making it a very hard matchup for the Wu. And while Lucha was distracted here microing against MBL, he just sent 16 villagers forward, 16 villagers with both fervor and sanctity, so they did arrive with quite fast there, and they do have extra HP to withstand some damage, and thanks to these villagers he's actually dropping a castle. Upon dropping a castle, he's already starting to collect some of the enemy resources. On this situation, a stone. Right now MBL has more than 20 villagers on stone, some on his own base, some others on his opponent's base. He keeps trading army versus army, the game keeps going on, a few wagons started to be added, and as you can see, he actually has a lot of stone on the bank. Some of this stone has been used to drop this castle, beautiful one. It basically covers all this area on the center of the map. If Lucha wants to go towards one side to the other in the map, using this way here, he'll actually have to pay a small price for that, which is basically being under the castle arrow fire. Trying to use a siege tower was actually the solution that he spot on, but even that doesn't feel so useful. And of course, meanwhile, there comes MBL to drop yet another castle. Lucha is aware, is just waiting with a mangonel. MBL jumps on him and starts doing the castle. The thing about this castle is, he does want to, 1, make sure that he's still denying these resources, and 2, take out this TC and also multiple farms in the process, putting a lot of burden on Lucha's economy. Very annoying to deal with. So forward castle drops, extensive use of hand cannoneers, early fervor every game. This is basically how MBL plays the Bohemian, and honestly it's working so well for him. Every time I see this guy playing Bohemians, even against the so-called stronger civilizations, he's actually managing to deliver quite some good games. Right now, Lucha is on the way to Imperial Age. What's MBL about to do? Well, he did upgrade the handcart, did add extra farming. He had several castles here around the map, making it very hard to attack him. And at this point, Lucha just decided that, okay, there isn't much that I can do anymore, and he did resign, despite being on the way to the Imperial Age. So guys, I hope you guys can actually watch this video and get some knowledge for yourselves to improve your Bohemian game.